This is the Simpit. I'm your host, Sean Cole, and welcome to today's edition of the Pit Stop, where you, the pit crew, you guys are the real star of today's show. Thank you for being here. Happy Monday to everybody. I hope your week is going well so far. I got a rainy day here in Southern California, but we need the rain. I love the rain, and it's a perfect excuse to stay indoors and do some sim racing all day long. So, what is going on in the world of sim racing? Before we even get to that, I think from the Friday show, I've kind of learned that I like to talk a little bit about what I did this weekend. Find out what you guys do over the weekend. Did you do some sim racing? Did you have other things in real life going on? Did you watch some football? Go Rams. I'll leave it at that. Beyond that, I did some testing with the guys. We did some more testing for the 24-hour Daytona. Excited about that coming up next weekend. We'll talk about that towards the end of the show. I worked at CXE Simulations at their Base 51 Sim Center in Los Angeles, and I'm doing a little work for them on the side. Worked there on Saturday. That was pretty fun. In addition to that, Sunday morning, me and the patron guys, we all did a rec fest just spontaneously out of nowhere. We came up with the idea. Jesse Conroy, thank you for hosting the event, and we had a good time crashing fenders as usual. So it was a pretty busy weekend for me, non-stop, and here we are Monday. You'd think I'd be running out of energy by now, but nope, this is the beginning of the week. No time to run out of energy. So what is going on in the rest of the world of sim racing outside of the things that I've been doing? A few things coming out of Forza today. They do have a stream. Get the inside track on Forza Horizon 4 update number 5. So they are going to be talking about what's in the latest update coming to Forza Horizon 4. That'll be today at 10. They said, join us at 6 p.m. GTO. What is GTO? Never heard of GTO. They just seem to be making up time zones at this point as far as I'm concerned. But 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time is when they will be doing that stream. So shortly after this show ends, if you're interested in what's coming to Forza. Speaking of coming to Forza, they do have their week in review. You'll find that at their main site with all the details, things that they talk about, you know, all the updates that have happened, what's coming, things like that. Weekly events and all the good stuff going on down there. Mitchie Hoyer in the house. How you doing, Mitchie? Everybody's in the house. I mean to single out poor Mitchie. In addition to that, GT Planet has a write-up, and I heard about this. Forza Motorsport 7, so this isn't Horizon, this is for 7. The Barrett-Jackson car pack has been revealed, coming January 15th. So that is, what, tomorrow? Tomorrow, but it's, I thought this is a Hot Wheels looking car there. Apparently that's something that you would be able to buy at Barrett-Jackson from time to time. Who's that iconic car maker? There's a couple of hot rod guys that made some cars in the 60s, 70s that became very iconic. They became Hot Wheel type cars. Greenwich Time Official, thank you, Dave Blair. Thank you for knowing more than I do on time zones. But anyway, if you want the details of what will be, that's a beauty right there. Look at that car. That is awesome. So some cool stuff, including that Bronco. That's lifted, too. That ain't stock. That's one lifted, worked on Bronco. So cool stuff coming to Forza Motorsport 7. Yeah, that's a total... Ed Barris? Is it Barris? No, it's Barris-Jackson that they're talking about. Ed Barrett? No, Barrett-Jackson. Ed Barris, isn't it? Should I be able to find that? I think that's got to be one of his cars. There's a Plymouth Hemi Cuda. Yeah, we saw that. I don't recall his name. Darn it. And I'm not seeing it here in the thing. George Barris. Batmobile. Thank you. Atomic Punk is the name of this roadster here. Alright, so anyway, that's coming to Forza as well. Gran Turismo is starting off their new championships. The next online championship begins January 30th. And we do have, that's all we have details-wise. There you go. The next online championship begins on January 30th. You'll find this at the GT Sport regular Barris Customs. Thank you. So I did have it somewhat correct. Frank Zappa in the show. Speaking of old school, George Barris. Thank you. The OG Batmobile. So anyway, for those who love GT Sport and want to compete on a competitive level, the next online championship begins on the 30th. You can gear up for that. And then we also have some results from the FIA Gran Turismo Championship 2018 with Canada. leading the way in Alfa Romeo as far as manufacturer series go. So there you go, a little bit of information out of Gran Turismo. We talk about women in gaming, or more importantly, we should talk about the lack of women in gaming across the board. You read articles every once in a while that talks about gamers being half of the market in some cases, and in other cases, like sim racing and maybe the competitive esport world, there is literally just no women involved. I mean, you can't say no, but very, very few. So Cody's is working with a couple of different things. Ginto Gaming coming to Codemasters. In addition to that, girls who've been at and are going to be at like the next CEO, or they're announcing that Liz Prince and Marie Claire Eisenman, CEO of Women in Games, have confirmed attendance on the panel alongside, and then some other people, winner of the Ginto Gaming Award. So anyway, it's Codemasters working with some of these outside groups that have been working, really pushing for more women in gaming. So it's good to see Codemasters doing it, and it's good to see them focusing on getting motorsport into that recipe. And you know, motorsport is one of those sports. I mean, you could make the argument all day long that a woman cannot play basketball as well as a man. Maybe certain positions, sure, but for the most part, it is a height and power sport. It'd be tough for most average women to play football, certainly not professional football. And it just comes down to size and power. I mean, it would take a gargantuan Amazon woman to be able to even be competitive at that level. But when you talk about racing, whether it's real life or sim racing, women have as good a chance, maybe even better. Women are lighter. So technically, you look at like someone like Danica Patrick, who, you know, quite honestly, I've stood next to Danica, as you all know. We're about the same height. We're pretty similar builds, but I'll bet you that she is lighter than me by a good 20 pounds, and she's probably stronger than me, I hate to admit, but she's a beast of a girl. So you look at that, and I mean, it comes down to horsepower and horsepower to weight ratio in racing. So, you know, women could actually have an advantage in that respect, and, you know, sure, they might have weight minimums in a car series, but if you have to add weight, like when I was in go-karting, I was underweight in my class, and I actually had to put weight on the cart to compensate. But I was able to put that weight where I wanted it or where I needed it versus somebody who was holding that weight up here and it was going to be a higher center of gravity. Oh, indeed she would. Danica's a beast in the best of ways. We talked about on Friday, so I'm not going to go into detail, but just a heads up, a warning. On the 16th, which is 2 days, so that's Wednesday, is when Early Access Release 5 comes out for Assetto Corsa. Competizione. I keep forgetting to say that. That's how we differentiate the title. Competizione. Release 5 is going to have that Jaguar G3, the Emil Frey Jaguar G3. In addition to that, the Zolder track, which we've seen some of the real-life game type pictures of it. But my warning, what I'm warning you about, if you're going to want it, it's going to go up in price on Wednesday by $10. So if you know you are going to be buying Competizione, please, please, please do yourself a favor and buy it before the 16th. Buy it today, buy it tomorrow. If you're not going to buy it, don't worry about it. You can wait until the end result, which is going to be Q1 2019, which technically we're already into Q1. On Friday, we talked about the Avia e-racing competition that was going on over the weekend. I didn't get a chance to see it because I was out, as I told you, but looks like Jack Keatley, our very good friend Jack Keatley, one of the best race room racers on planet Earth, well, he went on to steal the show and win his #1 spot in that event. So good job to Jack. Congratulations to him. Looks like he had a pretty good margin over second place as well. So pretty dominant. Julian Kuntz. So when you win a race by a decent margin over Julian Kuntz and Florian Haas in third, you know you're doing well. You know you're getting it done. Or people cut weight when there's no weigh-in. Yeah, cutting weight, again, horsepower to weight is similar in boxing and wrestling and MMA. Same thing. It comes down to horsepower to weight. So if you can slim down. What else? Woho Wednesday. I'm not sure what Woho is. There's a new area down in LA by the airport that they're trying to Thank you, Brandon. There's an area down in Los Angeles that is very interesting. I can't remember the exact, so it's like one of those Soho, Woho names. They're trying to make it upscale and cool, and it's actually kind of an area that was always a little on the seedy side. It's one of those areas that is getting better. So, just a reminder from 704 Games NASCAR Heat, the qualifying period for the NASCAR Heat Pro League ends tomorrow. So that was 2 hours ago. That means you do have about 22 hours, I guess, to get into that qualifying. Probably could be one of the easiest esports out there to get in on, just being that it's at the beginning. I'm not trying to take anything away from the talent pool that might show up there. But with it being a clean slate, you're definitely going to have a better opportunity. On Friday, me and Billy Strange, we really... Was it Friday's show or the week before? I don't know. We talked about the Mad Box, and we had some crazy drawings that they had put forward. And anyway, apparently here's the finalized Mad Box console design. It's a drastic change from what we saw. But at the same time, it looks a little more reasonable. I mean, I didn't like the extra square footage for the little funny dress skirts or whatever you want to call it that was taking up a bunch of distance. But one thing I'm looking at here when I see this, and did I miss something? So it says now playing Project Cars Revolution. Do you see that in the screenshot? Can you guys see that? Did I miss something? Was there a Project Cars Revolution part of Project Cars 1, Pcars 1? I don't think it was part of Pcars 2. But the Mad Box, Project Cars Revolution, right there on the screen. Now playing Project Cars Revolution. It is madness. Ooh, it can be wall-mounted, vertically even. So, anyway, that is another look at the console. Look, we even have some interior shots. That looks like something that would be the inside. You're going to have RGB lighting control. Anyway, okay, we're not going to beat this thing up anymore. We're going to wait and see. We're going to just have to see how it comes out. Oh, oh, that's... Hello? Not much. I'm live.
Sorry. We're shutting off the water in our apartment for about an hour.
Okay. Do they have to come in or no?
No.
Okay.
Go in your unit. Just tell them we're shutting off the water.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye. So rude. Terribly rude. You know, my brother does not call me during the day, so I figured if my brother is calling me during the day, it might be an emergency, and in fact, it was a warning they're turning off my water. So, anyway, I needed to get that heads up. Sorry about that interruption, but I guess that is the difference between a real show, a pro show, and, you know, you mentioned David Letterman. Nope, this is still a garage show. Make no mistake. Do not forget. I wish it had been a call about sim racing. That would have been a little more fun. All right, heads up. This Wednesday will be Hot Lap Hump Day 2019 Rick Motec Hot Lap Hump Day Championship. Remember, we talked about it becoming a championship. It'll be open to Rick Motec fans. It'll be open to extreme motorsport drivers, along with Kevin Ford calling the action. It will be open to Simpit patron pit crew team members, and we will be doing that this Wednesday. I don't expect everybody to show up, with it being the week of the big endurance racing, 24-hour of Daytona. But that will be going on this Wednesday. They always give away some prizes. It's always fun. You never know what they're going to throw at us. This season, it is a championship, so if you want to get more details, we've talked about the championship. There will be like bonus points and things like that. Maybe like a random place will get as many points as first place, instead of it always going to Aero Nom, who seems to win almost every one of those events. But anyway, in addition to that, over the weekend, McLaren, and sorry for hauling ass, I am just moving, but I did know that I had a lot of stories to cover, and it's been a while since we've been able to do a regular length show, so I'm trying to get my pace of how we need to go along to get the whole show done in a reasonable hour. What's my number? You'll make the call. Shane Lake, the number is... Oh, Max said no. He said no. He said I can't do it. Zach, the description. Oh, there you go. Someone's got the link. Thank you, Kimber. It should be in the description of the show for anybody who's looking for it as well. It should be right down there. So, McLaren Shadow competition has been going on. A few things to talk about. They have the schedule of what they're doing. Max! He is so obsessive compulsive. Like, here's one. Max, come! Come here. Come here. What are you doing? You're obsessing. Come here. Good boy. Sorry about that. Wow. It's a Monday. McLaren Shadow Finals. So they have a schedule of what's going on. Sunday the 13th, players arrive at McLaren, so they're going to do their meet and greet, I'm assuming. On Monday, that being today, they're doing their human performance testing. So don't show up fat and out of shape or it's not going to go over well at McLaren when they're recruiting and looking for a Shadow winner. And then on Tuesday, a track day at Dunsfold. Wednesday will be the finals, day 1, which will be live, along with the grand finale on Thursday, which will also be live, both on YouTube. So you can find that. We have some pictures here of day 1. This is their human performance testing. Oh, look at this. Oh, what's your strength? Have you been eating too many potato chips? Have you been lazy? Can you drive in a helmet? Are you going to become a sweaty mess? Things you need to think about when you're going to get into the modern world. Are they doing some eye tracking here, it looks like? Are you looking where you belong? Mad Max Monday. Very, very good. So that is going on at McLaren year 2, kind of. I mean, it's not the same, but it's similar to. But good for McLaren, and my hat's off to McLaren for really getting deeply involved in sim racing. One of the best car companies out there as far as their working with sim racing. And I think of I think of the car companies with like a sausage. Sausages? I think of the companies, the automotive companies, and correct me if I'm wrong or throw out any that come to mind for you. But I think of McLaren. I think Mazda has had a really good involvement with sim racing, with like the Miata actually being worked on with iRacing and development. I think obviously of Nissan with all the work they've done and did with GT Academy and GT Sport. I think of Porsche being very involved in sim racing, maybe not in the same hands-on direct way as much as always kind of being there to put up some money and things like that. What other companies, what other motorsport companies, what other car marquees have been good to us, who have really made sure to embrace sim racing, which isn't always the case from the real-life automotive world. What else? Autosport, talking about Arnold winning the Le Mans Esport race. Lay makes the final. So they had their big, the qualifier, I guess you could call it. And Sean Arnold triumphed in the latest Esport. Look at that dude. Don't mess with him. Sean Arnold is one buff dude. So he scooped the biggest share of the $10,000 prize pot with a storming drive from the pole position. So anyway, that went on, and that sets things up for round 2, which goes on the February 14th. It's actually not round 2, it's the super final. But Brendan Lay, I guess, was outside of the positions and raced his way in and did qualify as well. In addition, also qualifying, Ross Gunn qualifies. So Ross Gunn being a real-life driver, Aston Martin factory driver. Think about Aston Martin sim racing. We got to put them on the list. Nicky Thiem, Ross Gunn. He's now qualifying for the latest eSports series at the 2019 Autosport International Show. So very good. You're surprised to see Kia licensing. Licensing's one thing, but cooperation and embracement of the community, I think, is a whole other level. Sean Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well played, Shane Lake. That's exactly what he is. He is Sean Arnold Schwarzenegger. Look at that dude. He's ripped. Anyway, all right. Frex. All I have on this one, this is at their Facebook. Frex. Frex developing an affordable motion chair. Every VR games need this to avoid VR sickness. Little interesting language there, but they're from Japan. Every VR game needs this to avoid VR sickness. Developing an affordable motion chair That's all we have. That's all we get. I don't know. Oh, we could hit play. What do we have underneath it? That wasn't even a chair. It was just their logo. There is the chair. It almost looks like a next level motion platform, the way it's moving around. Interesting to see. I haven't talked about Frex all that much over the years. They're one of the, you know, significant big sim companies out there. Maybe they don't get a lot of attention here in North America. Call sign Terminator. All right, what else do we have? More news from Feel VR Production. I haven't even read this, to be honest with you. Box This Lap posted it. Dear backers, hope you had a joyous holiday season this past year. It was a blast. Thanks for your support. Thanking his team, Pedal Progress. We're in a hurry and tried our best to start shipping pedals by the end of the year. Unfortunately, that did not happen for the following reasons. Sheet metal had problems, delays with assembly, assembly instructions, electronics were delayed as well. But we do see a picture of things in action. What else? Waiting the stencils. Do we have a date, though? That's what we really want to know. In the coming days, we are expected plasma panels. Wheel progress. Recently, we've received new and final motor sample, so we're still at the sample phase. Molds are still in the process of design. PCB board, we're getting a look at it there. Their own board. And anyway, a little bit of update from them. You can find that at Box This Lap if you want to get every last detail. Somewhat to be expected. New manufacturer coming on to the horizon, building both a wheel and pedal set. I can just imagine it's not super duper easy. Yeah, the wheelbase is a little weird, kind of boxy looking, with some just red bolted onto it. But, ooh, vaporware. Is it vaporware, or will we ever see one in real life? I've touched one, but I don't know if that was just a different wheel thrown into a box. Who knows? Who knows? But more news. It's at Box This Lap. Motorsport.com talking about F1 creating their own sim to trial new grid formations. No surprise to me. If you think about it, if you want to make massive changes, wouldn't it be nice to be able to try it out and run some scenarios to see if it really plays out the way you think, rather than having to make a physical world change to find out if you really got what you wanted out of it? So apparently, and I don't know, when they say F1 created its own simulations, I'm sure that is a very loosely worded statement there. I wouldn't be surprised if they hired somebody to build what they wanted, to test what they wanted to do. They could go to like an ISI. They could go to any of the big houses and get them to build something if they want for a small fee, and a small fee out of the pocket of Formula One is nothing. In a year now, absolutely. Hey, Zyzo. Fanatic delays. Yeah, Fanatics had delays, maybe not quite the same level. Addy dodged a bullet on Field VR. So-called production forever. We could do an over-under. We could do an over-under on the date, and I can give away a Simpit t-shirt. That might be hard to orchestrate. I've touched one. Yes, don't take that out of context. All right, what else do we have to talk about today? Fun show today. We have so many cool things. Lazarus Racing. This is actually a big deal. We talked, Billy and I talked about silly season. Giggity, giggity, Shane. We talked about silly season and how we get to that point in sim racing where drivers are changing teams, changing sims even. You never know what you're going to see during that off season when a lot of restructuring is going on. Franco, what's happening, buddy? We missed you at Wreckfest on Sunday morning. I understand you had family things to do, but we missed you. Anyway, Lazarus Racing, who, wow, acquires F4H Motorsport. F4H Motorsport is a really big league, if you want to call, I mean, what you call F4H is you could argue what you call it, league, team, community, whatever. But Lazarus Racing acquired them, and pro Forza RC drivers and GT Sport racers. They acquired the entire everything. Canadian esport organization Lazarus announced the formation of Lazarus Racing, a new division within its professional gaming team that will compete Is Lazarus, is that like Razer? Are they a Razer sponsored team? Isn't that a Razer product? But anyway, they had acquired F4H Motorsport, a popular community-driven team that has competed across all major racing games, Forza, Gran Turismo, Project Cars, iRacing, in its 14-year history. I do believe John Hill used to race with F4H even. More than 100, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, they are acquiring everything, every part of it. All their drivers, their internal people, their management, everything is going over there. So this is a big deal. This is part of our silly season. And you're talking about Gran Turismo drivers, Forza drivers, and general 4H, the managers, Tyler Jones and Nathan Tague. What Canadian esport? Oh, is it that bad? True achievements, talking about the Grand Tour game. I like the picture of Hammond here. Anyway, we've seen some crazy, strange, funny, and just outright bizarre advertising campaigns for games over the years. This one is definitely one of the stranger. I'm not going to play the whole thing because my video will get pulled, but I'm assuming if you look up the Grand Tour game gadgets on YouTube. Max, do you need a beating? Do you want to be beaten senseless? Is that what you're begging for? Come here. Come get your beating. Come here. No barking. Don't ruin my show. Don't be an idiot. The Grand Tour. Anyway, you can check that out on YouTube. Grand Tour game gadgets is what it's called, and it's supposedly a Grand Tour, or at least a those crazy guys type video. I'm going to congratulate and make an announcement simultaneously here. So we often talk about Lionheart IndyCar Series, one of the premier IndyCar leagues or series on iRacing. And Blocker, this guy, really, we talked about a handful of different races throughout the season, and Adam Blocker was either winning or in the top 3. But Adam Blocker wins the championship, and this is his first championship with those guys. And the reason I'm mentioning this is Max is warning us about the Grand Tour game, that despite dropping the price, you might want to wait for a review before you run out and buy that one. Animal abuse. Yes, don't take that out of context. Did you hear, yipe? I've never laid a hand on my dog. I just like to threaten him with such things. Anyway, the reason I mention this is I and John Hill will be running in the Lionheart IndyCar Championship next season, which starts up in about a month. So we'll tell you more about that as it gets closer. A couple of other people showing off their work, so let's give our opinion. This is cool. So this is posted by Shadow FA Shadow. I made some 3D button labels for Thrustmaster wheels. Why do they put the buttons in such random order? Great question, and I don't know why he just needed some numbers on his. I know why. Because he's probably a gamer, and when you're playing F1 2018, for example, it'll say press number 6 to advance or whatever. But a great idea. A lot of you guys out there probably do have 3D printers or have a friend who has a 3D printer. One of the cool features of the new Fanatic wheels was that they did have interchangeable covers. Max! There's somebody like working right outside the front door is what it is. But you could really do your own. Print it out in white. Go ahead and just use a little black felt tip marker to touch on the things. Give me one moment, you guys. Max, come here. Do I need to put you on a leash? No barking. Wow, we had a phone call. We've had multiple interruptions by Max, who the other thing I could do is just open the door and let him out, and he won't find his way home. Anyway, I love this idea, and it would be pretty easy to do on your own. No, they're turning off my water for service, just to be clear. That I did pay my bill. But I love this idea, because again, you can take a micrometer, measure the button. You could just map it, or not map it, but draw up something simple in Sketch and print out your own button covers if you wanted to. It'd be that easy. If anybody has a 3D printer, who knows? Maybe it's a little side business you could do. Max does tell me what to do. He runs the house. That's why I might have to just let him go. I'm kidding. Deathmobile. Look at this one. Max. I don't know what to do with you. Shut up. This is posted by Crazy Crasty 01CZ. Rate my setup, please. All right, give it a rate. So it looks like he got a junkyard seat, just like we've always recommended. Built himself a 2x4 style Deathmobile, even with a handbrake. Look at that handbrake mod on there. I think he did pretty well in that respect. It looks like it could be a little bit more stable. I might do a little bit more cross-bracing on that myself, so if you're looking for my opinion there, Crasty01CZ, I think it's a great-looking setup, a great starting point, and now what I would do is sure things up just a little bit to make sure it's going to last forever. I think that's all you're going to need to do. Looks like he's got a sequential and a handbrake on that sucker. They're both kind of DIY. No, that looks like a Fanatic handbrake on the bottom, if I'm not mistaken. And then it looks like a DIY sequential up top. Pet him. Come here, buddy. Later, Brad. Come here. Come here. There's a good boy. There's a good boy. See, he gets love. All right, so that is, that's pretty much it on the news, but I do have a few other things to talk about. I keep talking about the Daytona, 24 hours of Daytona next weekend. We've had so many different angles of looking at this event, and if you're a sim racer and you look forward to big events for yourself, you'll know where I'm coming from. You know where the guys are coming from when we're talking about just how cool big events. I don't care if it's an endurance race. I don't care what it is, but if it's big to you, it could just be your next league race. It really is cool when you have some extra motivation to work hard, to be perfectionist about everything. Anyway, the Simpit racing team, sponsored by Rick Motec, is getting ready to start off the season. This is the endurance season. We will be running in the Rolex, the iRacing 24 Hours of Daytona, and it looks like we have 3 cars. If everybody shows up, we have 3 cars, which should be really interesting. We have 2 cars that are almost identical in terms of pace, like they'll probably be in the same split even, which is going to be interesting. Not sure if we can do any teamwork, but it looks like we have 2 cars that are almost identical in speed, and then 1 car that maybe will be 1 split behind. I will be doing a picture-in-picture view of my ride and my team, or at least the car that I'm involved in, and that will be next weekend for 24 hours, and that's going to be very cool. Shane, you've been a great help, along with so many of you out there. So that is going on as well. I also want to give credit where credit is due. RF Night Stalker! I asked you guys, send me some leaderboards, show me what you're doing. Unfortunately, I couldn't read exactly which event. I know he did 2 events. He's here. Maybe he can tell us. But look at this. Number 1. Didn't even use a ghost to run it. Ran a 1:03:30. I'm not sure. I know one of them was Indy. But anyway, sitting on top of the leaderboard in the community challenges is RF Night Stalker. He did a second event as well, and you can see he's actually in 13th place on this one with a 1:23:640. So again, if you're getting out there, Project Cars, they only have a handful of community challenges, so you'll be able to figure this out. But look for RF Night Stalker, see if you can better his time, or if he got the upper hand on you, be sure to send me a screenshot, and I'll make you the star of tomorrow's show when we talk about your efforts out there. So congratulations, and thank you for sending that in. And the last thing I have to talk about today, other than a few thank yous, I want to thank Jesse Conroy for consistently hosting Wreckfest and just keeping the game, the core group, always playing and having a good time. So thank you, Jesse, very, very much for that. I had a blast, as usual, this weekend. In addition to that, I want to thank Brandon and Amir for really taking over and making the endurance team happen. Without their help, I don't think it would be going on. I don't know if I'd have the time to organize what we've been doing. So thank you all. Thank you, RF, for sending those shots in. And lastly, if you're in our patron group, you might have noticed a new member in there. We now have Alec Moody. Alec Moody, if you see him in there, is actually one of the developers of the game Wrench. And I've been playing Wrench quite a bit. And it's not a sim racing title, but it's very much a sim, and it's very much automotive. It's an early access game, and I have a preview that is coming out in the next day or 2, and it's a totally different way of doing things from what I've done on the show before. It's in VR. Not sure how that's going to go over, but to me, playing Wrench in VR is what it's all about. So, they also gave me some codes to give away. So I do have 4 codes that are going to be given away. One is going to be given away randomly to one of our patron pit crew team members. We're going to just draw a name randomly from all those guys. And the other 3 are going to be available to you, the community. We're going to give them away on Friday's show. I will probably have the results on Friday. But in order to win, what you need to do is you need to email me, Sean, S-H-A-U-N, @thesimpit.com, and tell me that you want to wrench on cars. In the subject line, please say, I want to win wrench. I want to wrench cars. You need to tell me what you're entering in the subject line when you email me. Otherwise, I will not pull it into my folder when I'm picking winners. We're going to give away 3 codes to one of you guys. 3 of you guys, 3 of the pit crew are going to get codes, and then somebody from the pit crew team on Patreon as well. All the patron guys, you can enter regularly as well. You just get a little increased odds being part of the patron team. So we'll do those giveaways on Friday. I'll remind you a few times between now and then. But thank you very much to the guys from Wrench for, well, I actually paid for the game. But thank you to the guys from Wrench for giving up some codes. And thank you, Alec, for becoming part of our community. And you guys will get to see more of Wrench, which is a really interesting game. I highly check it out. If you've ever wanted to learn how to work on cars, this is like a Chilton or Haynes manual that you can actually work on. So it's been a lot of fun for me. I've done some crazy things, and again, I'll have a preview of that coming out in the next couple of days, along with so many things. I'm working on the next level GT track. I'm working on the Sim Experience GS5 seat. I'm working on the SHH shifter. So many things going on behind the scenes. We're going to keep trying to crank out the reviews and cranking out shows and having a good time doing it. So thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being part of the pit crew and making it so much fun to hang out each and every day talking sim racing. Well, not every day. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but we talk every day on Patreon about everything sim racing. Thank you for being part of my good friend base and the guys that make just sim racing a lot of fun for me to be a part of. This is the Sim Pit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.